We got Dota going on, though.
We do have Dota 2 going on. I think that I'm pretty sure I just got fired, but we'll move right into the draft.
I'll
because
protect you. I'll put it on me.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that very much. It's going to be the Faceless Void banned out, as well as the Earth Spirit, the Elder Titan, and the Life Stealer. So TongFu, Wings, both teams that, when I'm going into this one, I feel like they both sometimes pick outside of the box. And I feel like that comes at the detriment of Wings, whereas TongFu, it might help them a little bit, because Wings were coming into this as far as a best-of-3 team were concerned, really high level. And if you look back at Manila Major qualifier predictions, people were thinking they might come in first, they might take the whole tournament. They didn't end up showing up there, and it's kind of come to fruition a little bit. The Wings Gaming dropped a game earlier today as well, so not where people would necessarily expect them, whereas TongFu have been able to take this first game of the series as well. As far as best of ones are concerned, how do you approach these types of games? Do you need to try and pick outside of your box, or do you try and just go for a straight up normal play?
I think it depends on how you view your team skill-wise against the opponent. Because these teams probably have played against each other, dozens of times. They probably have a fairly good gauge of what their tendencies are, how they match up individually, and how they are as a cohesive unit. So if you think you're the worst team, I think that doing something outside of the box is probably better, because you know that in a straight-up game, you would probably lose. So for me, on paper, I would say TongFu probably the weaker team, not by a huge margin, but just based on past things that I've seen from Wings, barring, of course, the rest of the qualifier games. And if that's the case, you say, okay, maybe let's bring something to the table that Wings might not be ready for. But if you're Wings, I'd say stick to your guns. Do whatever you are most comfortable with, because if you can get your comfort zone heroes in the best of one, and all you do is just execute, you can put yourself in a great position to take the win.
Well, and already we're seeing a little bit of a different look. Death Prophet into the Ricky Dragon Knight. So normally it's been something along the lines of a Lifestealer, that obviously banned out by Wings themselves. They're going to be going for the DK. This is a team that you say comfort picks, and I would agree with you. The problem is I don't know if they really have a comfort pick.
I mean, the thing is, Wings have always done so many crazy strats that we've seen in the past that maybe just picking whatever the hell they want is comfort for them.
Right.
Maybe everyone on their team, they're just like, all right, practice every hero. I don't even care what it, just random in pubs. I don't care. Just be good with everything. And, for some teams that works. Some strengths of lineups is having hero diversity. And if you can do that as Wings and you play the same level on no matter what hero you're given, then it can work for you. It makes you unpredictable, and I think that's definitely a huge strength for a team like Wings. TongFu, on the other hand, I thought their drafting that we saw earlier was just straight up solid. They had a very good understanding of the weaknesses of their opponents. They exploited it to a very severe degree, and they were able to walk away with a pretty decisive win. So if I'm Wings in this matchup and it's a best of one, I might be a little bit scared of what TongFu are bringing here, because it might not be, in the game that we just saw, it wasn't like it was crazy picks, but they were very good for the game, and they executed. And in reality, that's all you really need to do. You outdraft your opponent a little bit, and you play them, and you're just like, all right, well, our draft is better, and we executed the same level, so technically we should just win.
Well, and keep in mind that also, this is the exact same thing that we ended up seeing from TongFu in the last game. They went DP, Disruptor, and they exploited that weaknesses that you're talking about from the side of newbee.young, where they ended up going back for the Slardar and then a Gyrocopter. They went for a lot of early team fights, but it felt like it was controlled aggression with a lot of making good calls of not taking fights that they weren't comfortable with. Like, there were a few moments where possibly if newbee had been able to take a stronger movement with their Queen of Pain going for a big Sonic Wave or something, they would have been able to turn the tide of the fight. This time around, is it very easy to fight into a Dragon Knight lineup, though? I feel like this hero is just so tanky that sometimes he can soak up that exorcism damage.
I'm actually a little bit confused about the DK pick myself, because on paper, Death Prophet versus Dragon Knight heavily favors Death Prophet. Okay, so in the lane, Siphon is much better than it used to be. Of course, later on, it's not as good because it's not pure damage. But I still kind of feel like, unless the Ricky is doing a lot of successful rotations early on, Wings have already put themselves under the gun in regards to their lanes not being quite as good as they want them to be. And then you always have to worry about the 5-man potential of a Death Prophet lineup. DK can be great to set up a siege, but Death Prophet is not the kind of hero that has to commit to a fight in order to stop the DK. Just by standing in the area, you're dealing damage via Exorcism. You get a good silence out of the DK. You get a Soul Siphon on him, and all of a sudden, he's in a bad spot. So I personally like TongFu's opening a bit more, but Wings obviously have a plan. They've picked a lot of stuff in the past that most teams aren't willing to pick. And obviously, TongFu has shown them a great deal of respect just due to the bans. Like, the ET is something that Wings have felt comfort zone for a long time, maybe even before Elder Titan actually came back into the meta. So we'll see. But right now, I'm liking TongFu.
Well, and I'm wondering now if they end up taking the Slardar for themselves. That feels like it might be a deciding hero in this game. You've got a Dragonite and a Ricky, both who you'd love to be able to get the amp on them. They're going to go for the Clockwork instead. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you... All right, so I was on panel yesterday,
Okay.
and we were talking about this hero. And in my opinion, Clockwork is the worst hero in the game.
Oh my god.
Now, I'm not saying that means they're going to lose. I'm just saying personally, and okay, so let me clarify. The classification of the worst hero in the game, to me, is the hero that is the worst in the most amount of situations. As in, how many criteria do you need to meet in order to pick Clockwork? And in this case, it's a lot of criteria, right? You can't lane him against Jug. You can't lane him against Lifestealer. He can't buy an Iron Talon because he's just really bad at jungling. If you have a bad game, you have no comeback mechanism whatsoever. You can throw out flares. That's your comeback, okay? So this hero is what I would call the most extreme of all-in offlaners with very little margin for error. Now, Wings are extremely talented. Like, their players, individually, fantastic. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with Clockwork as a hero. That's what I have a problem with. And I went on a little bit of a mini rant on the panel about him yesterday too, but all in all, I still think that if Wings can make this hero work, power to... Okay, and they picked Warlock on. They're actually just going ham. they're
really
just caution to the wind. We're picking Clockwork, Warlock.
That's what we're doing. And TongFu, meanwhile, trying to play a little bit of the safer route. They're going to go for that dire side Slardar, same exact picks that we saw last time around. So maybe they saw it and were able to work something out. It's worth noting that TongFu in 6.8 as well as the past month have picked Clockwork themselves 7 times with a 100% win rate.
Yes.
So kind of maybe a deny pick of the weirdest hero that TongFu play. But it feels to me that the team that's going to play a little bit more safe here might be the one that wins, and certainly that's TongFu already.
Yeah, their picks are more safe for sure, but I think what Wings are trying to go for here, if you imagine Death Prophet is a cooldown-based hero, right? And then you have Warlock, who is also cooldown-based, and his ultimate is roughly on the same cooldown as Exorcism. Of course, it's a little bit longer, but it does mean that every time the Death Prophet ulti is likely to be off cooldown, you will also be able to drop Golem. So you have this Clockwork initiation into a Ricky Cloud, which is actually pretty terrifying, because if you think about this, 75% chance to miss when you're stuck in cogs means you have no reliable way of getting yourself out.
That's
okay?
Scary.
That combination is actually pretty legit. I'll give it to him. I'm just really concerned for a lineup that has very little lockdown outside of the Clockwork himself up against TongFu, who are still looking to play very fast. They've picked 4 out of 5 of the same heroes we just saw them play.
If we get a Gyrocopter next, they're literally playing the exact same draft. And honestly,
Gyrocopter's
it wouldn't be bad.
It's good. And they got like almost no safe laners to choose from because Sven, Juggernaut, and Lifestealer are all banned.
Well, this is certainly an interesting turn to this game. Okay, so Ricky Cloud, Clockwork, hook in. You're going to want to get that level 6 up and online and make that play where you're going to be able to find a kill.
All right, it's the exact same lineup. Almost in the exact same order as well.
Yeah, they just swapped the Undyne and the Gyro. So TongFu certainly got what they wanted, that's for sure. I mean, it's worth noting that the draft, I feel like a lot of the picks from TongFu last game were in response to what newbee.young was doing. Do you feel like the Undyne is going to be able to accomplish as much? We haven't seen the safe lane hero yet.
Oh my.
Okay.
So this is cooldown versus cooldown Dota, pretty much. So Eclipse plus Warlock Ultimate, and then versus the Death Prophet, Exorcism, potentially, and I guess the Disruptor ulti, but cooldown's really fast, so you have that almost every single fight. The person I'm going to keep an eye on this whole game is Clockwork. Like, what can Faith get done in this game? Because that's going to be key. He is their initiator. He is the one who pretty much starts the fights. If he has a good game, I can see Wings doing very well. If he has a bad game, I see TongFu flattening them just like they did their previous opponents in newbee.young.
Well, I'm going to close the predictions tab because I got no idea. I mean, you could probably figure out some of those things, but as far as the drafts are concerned, it certainly is a very strange look coming out from Wings, and this is what they're known for. It's their bread and butter. You talked about it. They got to go with what's comfortable, and what's comfortable is what's crazy. I do really like the Luna Ags if you wanted to go that route. Like, if you're going cooldown dependent lineups, is that maybe a reason to pick this hero? I don't feel like you're picking Luna just for the other parts of her kit, right? Maybe the Lunar Blessing aura?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to have Lunar Blessing for push potential. and I think that's the main reason why they picked the hero.
Okay.
They needed a safe lane that would be able to contribute to objectives, and Luna is definitely the hero for that because everything else was more or less banned. So I do think that there is some synergy on Wing's lineup. The other part of it is if you do decide to go the Ags route, as you mentioned, you can throw it on the clockwork before he hooks. He hooks in with the ultimate on him, and he just obliterates whoever he hits. Like, they're just dead. There's no way you can get away from that. The damage is insane. You can also just cast that on him from very far away inside of the cogs as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a really kind of neat synergy, but I'm not sure if he'll do that because he's going to desperately need BKB.
Yeah.
And Luna is just unbelievably squishy. And it's like a ranged hero who has crappy range.
Yeah.
And then you have like pretty poor strength gain. You need a lot of protection during the early game, so Shadow's going to be relying heavily on his teammates, and they might even keep Innocence down here for the majority of the early game just to prevent that dual lane from TongFu from wreaking havoc like it did against newbee.young.
Yeah, this to me feels like it could be a very strange one. The cool part about this is Ice the Warlock, pretty good as far as a right-click support is concerned. You've got a lot of sustain in the lane. You're going to be able to throw out that Shadow Word, and also a good range on him. Ends up going up to 600, so better than average, as they're going to be able to keep that range from being denied out early, and should be fine. Well, can you get aggressive in this lane if you're Wings? They don't have much control, but they have a lot of damage.
The thing is, the Undying didn't start with the Stout Shields, and even if, you know, Faith has one himself, eventually this Undying is going to run low on regen because he's only got one set of tangos. And if you get this much harassment in the first wave, I'd say this is a huge win for Wings. Just making it so like when the Undying hits level 2 and 3, that's when you really start running into problems because it'll have either 2 points into the Tombstone or he'll go 1-1-1 and have the Soul Rip plus Tombstone. And that's when the enemy offlane can actually start going for kills. But if you harass them so much during the first 2 or 3 levels that they don't have enough health to commit, then you walk away from the lane feeling like, alright, they can't actually go on my Luna anymore, and he's free farming and locking the lane.
This is kind of an interesting look as well. The Warlock going for the Fatal Bonds first to try and dole out that harassment that much more in the laning stage. Kind of an interesting idea. I mean, that's the state of Wings drafts in general. But do you think it's a good idea, considering you're already going to be a little bit starved for levels?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, look at how much damage he's doing right now. The Undying has 1 tango, he's below half health, and that's with a ridiculous amount of of the decay stacks, and Faith is already down almost his entirety of tangos as well. So the interesting thing about this game is normally Innocence on the Riki, he would want to be roaming around and creating havoc, but by stopping TongFu's offlane from dealing with the Luna and stopping her farm, he's doing his job. Like, he doesn't need to be roaming around and gaining levels if he's holding down the Undying and ensuring that, you know, Faith isn't really getting anything out of this laning phase.
Oh, and might be able to even get the bottle snipe. Oh, I think that they spotted him, though, as they were going by there. The reveal might have come through, and top lane, we're also going okay right now for the Clockwork. I mean, he's level 3. He's been able to mess around and get a couple of denies. It's a okay laning stage for this Wings Gaming draft. Not entirely what we would suspect, and I guess the big thing is going to be how well this DK does against the DP, and still not doing the best in the world, but he's not dying either.
I mean, he's actually a lot closer than you would imagine, so... Yeah. I mean, all things considered, he's even got that bottled regen, so the harassment that's being dealt to him right now by Lin is going to just be healed right back up.
Well, a little bit of a rotation here. They're still trading hits. Since Riki has left the lane, they haven't been able to level as much damage against the TongFu lineup, but Luna's at a comfortable spot, I would say. Meanwhile, the Riki just trying to mess around a little bit more with this Clockwork. The dynamic of the Clockwork with the gyrocopter, I mean, we haven't seen this here a lot. Do you still think like Blade Mail is the item and try and turn that damage back against them?
Blade Mail is great. It's great against Death Prophet, great against gyrocopter, forces them to buy BKBs. Interestingly enough, BKB is still good for Gyro against Blade Mail because a lot of his damage is the Rocket Barrage, is the Call Down, which of course is blocked by Magic Immunity. It's bottom lane.
Yeah, Shadow taking a lot. He is going to get Soul Rip for the moment. Fairy Fire keeping him alive, trying to get the Shadow Word out as well. And now TongFu dove a little bit too deep, I think. They are going to end up getting turned upon. And meanwhile, maybe going to be able to find the kill. First Blood going their way. The Blink Strike forward. And they do have another Lucent Beam. Are going to be able to throw it back at them. And the dual lane not quite doing enough. Meanwhile, up for the top, Faith Beyond going to be able to keep control of U9. A little bit of a battery assault going his way as well. And the Wings Gaming draft. Cool stuff.
I mean, Innocence is just playing very well. He knows exactly where he needs to be. He understands that as long as the offlane of TongFu isn't getting a lot accomplished, the Undying will fall off so fast in this lineup. if he's not able to contribute as much as he did playing up against the previous team of newbee.young, you just can't have a bad early game on Undying. It's very similar to Clockwork in that regard, except Clockwork actually offers initiation, whereas Undying pretty much only offers a tombstone, and that's about it. So all things considered, I'd say his movement has been pretty much on point, and of course TongFu getting a little bit over-aggressive sets up Wings for a solid early game.
They've been doing a great job with it. And I think now with the boots up as well as that Orb of Venom, there's a decent chance he could find a kill on the DP if she steps a little bit too far forward. But I wouldn't mind him heading back down towards the bottom lane and messing around a little bit more with these two heroes here. I mean, you do have a capability of making a play. But it looks like for now they're going to be able to take out this stack, and that's going to help out their laning stage a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad, I suppose. Oh, they're going to get the D ward as well, so that's really nice.
Oh, denied.
Got him. Nice on point here.
Good stuff. Yeah, Innocence just kind of sitting here and making the DP uncomfortable. They haven't been able to spot him moving back down here towards bottom, so she probably realizes that he's on top of him, and now is going to head back top to see if she can help out the Clockwork at all. As far as rotations, that level 6 on the Clockwork, where would you like to see him go? Is it a thought to go mid and try and kill the DP, or do you think that kills too hard?
It is pretty difficult. I think you need 3 heroes, because the problem is you don't actually have a lot of burst with the Clockwork and the DK, so Soul Siphon or Spirit Siphon might be good enough of a heal to allow somebody else to TP in, and that could just be a bit of a turnaround. So perhaps killing bottom is the play. Like Clockwork is really good against Slardar, because you can just hook shot, he can't get himself out, you cancel the animation of the stomp if he gets a bad timing on it, so I think ganking bottom is probably the play.
Well, for now at least, going to start to slow down Kbu. They do have the silence on top of him as well. I kind of felt like they might have been able to go for that one, but maybe worried about the glimpse and him being able to run out of the smoke cloud before it ended up wearing off. Regardless, more damage up here. Going to start to bring down Faith, and one more right click. They might actually just get it with the kills on those creeps. They actually find the kill there. Fatal Bonds is a good spell.
All right, TongFu is they're kind of suffering here in this early game. Their DK is winning mid because Lin was terrified of Innocent's movement. They have Luna like out farming the Gyrocopter right now, which sure, Gyrocopter comes online a little bit faster, and maybe his team fight utility is on a different level than what a Luna brings to bear, at least in the early game. But still, the Wings in the laning phase are definitely doing what they need to do.
And now you're starting to see this Luna, who is actually going for no points in Glaze right now. Not a huge surprise, but sometimes you see one of them early. They do pop the ultimate in the mid lane against Lin, so a bit of an odd decision there by Blink. He should still be fine. Do you think that this is a problem at all, or is it just going to be to try and set up a hookshot kill here by Clock?
It could be just a rotation. He'll probably end up pushing in the lane. If he uses like Breathe Fire or something, they might be able to go for a dive, but you can see Lin's positioning. He's well aware that something is up. You don't just casually pop your DK for him for no reason. Worst case scenario, they hit the tower a few times, Corrosive Breath deals damage, and they will spot out the Undying up here.
Yeah, the rotation, he went out and away from the lane, and Innocence is still in the area. No vision of him as of yet. Although they did spot him. Okay, yep, that's going to be possibly a catch. Glimpse back. Innocence is going to be in the midst of him, but meanwhile, the hook, they're going to be able to drop the cloud on top of him as well. Okay, Boo, you're in the Page Cage, and it looks like they are going to be able to walk away from that Undying for the moment. And even though the DP is going to move in, and I think that they're just out. TP scroll on Ricky, and Clockwork's pretty swift.
Man, that was such a nice play. The Cog pulling both of them in.
On the push away, trying to make his way out, cut through the trees because he has a Quelling Blade, and now the double back might be able to just walk through mid lane. That's the ultimate space created right there, I feel like. Ice, no ultimate, but oh my god, is he actually just going to escape? Blink runs in with the haste rune, runs down Kbu. Innocence blinks back in. They're covering each other, and now the ultimate coming in. Are trying to bring him down. Call down also going to be only hitting the first of them. What is even going on? Shadow's going to run away, but...
It is only 8 minutes in, right? Oh my god,
Fatal
they're going to lose the gyro.
They're all going to die. They caught one there, LPC. They end up getting a Lucent Beam, and now he's going to fall. What is going on in this game?
The amount of space that was just created by Faith. Jesus. Like, he pulls their entire team between the Tier 1 mid and the Tier 2 directly into a team fight that TongFu really don't have anything for. Like, the Disruptor is not level 6, so there's no Static Storm. The DP hasn't skilled Exorcism yet. Like, this is a normal skill build, but they weren't expecting Wings to just randomly be behind their tower with 5 heroes at 8 minutes into the game.
Oh my God! And keep in mind as we look on the screen here, that fight started here ostensibly, and then trailed all the way around to the mid tier 1, and ended up being able to take it. Just, I don't know what to call that. Like, is that a good play?
Yeah, that's from Wings. Yeah, it was absolutely a good play. They were just abusing the fact that, you know, TongFu didn't have any of their teamfight utilities yet. Like, the starter doesn't even have amplify damage, and it's almost 10 minutes in. So TongFu's start has been less than optimal, if you want to put it that way. The rest of Wings have every single thing that they need, pretty much, except for, I suppose, Innocence being level 6. But this guy has just been everywhere. He's been involved in half the team's kills. He's set up with the clockwork, that huge rotation from the rest of his team towards mid. They get a big objective, and TongFu are looking to bite back here.
Oh, they found Ice. They were sort of almost hitting each other, but now everybody's backing. They went for the smoke play and the movement in. I feel like they want to fight. Oh, that was a very close catch. Almost going to be able to get it. That flare does a lot of damage. A big old ulti comes in and might be able to take this one a bit further. They're all very low. Everybody from TongFu is going to start to drop. They are going to be able to kill off two with the Warlock. Ice just walks away from that gyrocopter, and I think that this is still going to be okay. Oh, Innocence again with the silence, and now Luna chasing down that Undying. Maybe going to be able to find the kill. Is not going to die to the tower.
My God.
Okay, 12 to 0.
Can we just talk about how much damage the Fatal Bonds plus Flare does to their team? It did like 4. Look at how much damage that was. Like, what the hell?
2 rocket flares, 1,800 damage.
Well, that was a gyro, but just...
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong one.
The flare, pretty much on itself, did like 500 damage, and the Warlock did 900. Like, just the amount of damage they take from that alone and trying to fight into it. Okay, they're going to get a glimpse here.
Maybe going to end up being able to bring down Shadow. Still alive for the moment. Yeah, overstepping their bounds slightly, and this should maybe be able to be more punished. They crush onto Blink, a pretty good gyrocopter ultimate. They go into the Tricks trade to keep the Ricky alive, but they have lost that DK, and now Faith Beyond trying to escape Ice a little bit too far out of his element. Not going to be able to find that one, but Innocence actually doing a lot of damage here. He has been able to kill off one. I think that he should be able to escape, so it ends up being a 3 for 2, but a pretty nice response from TongFu.
Yeah, their cooldowns were all pretty much done in the last engagement, so all they had was Eclipse. And that's what we were talking about during the draft, and the punishment that a Disruptor can deliver, as long as you're in the right place at the right time. Just forcing an engagement on bad terms for Wings. Wings want to fight to protect their Luna. They end up paying a bad price, and TongFu get themselves the first and very much needed team fight win for this game. Now, they have a lot of work left to do, not going to lie. Because that Warlock, that support, it's 12 minutes in. He's got Arcanes and almost a mech complete. He's 6, 0, and 7 as a support Warlock. Like, this is just insane. Very innovative stuff coming out from Wings. Really fun to see.
You love to see this type of play. I was looking at that rocket flare damage that was being dealt against the Disruptor, and you saw it took about like a quarter of his HP away.
Yeah.
It's absurd the amount that you're able to do, and all of these big AoE teamfight abilities, you end up hitting them with Fatal Bonds on, and meanwhile the wraparound's going to be here. They have the Warlock ulti back up in 20 seconds. If they're not careful, if they're grouped together, this could definitely be a really big initiation. Lyn is going to be the first one that gets jumped on. The call down is only going to hit onto one, and it should be okay for the moment. Blink turning onto that Undying Tombstone, and Faith Beyond is going to start to fall, getting healed, but is going to get dropped. Meanwhile, the Warlock ulti is ready to come down. He drops it onto 3, and a lot of damage. The buyback from the DP, seeing if she can get back into this one. The Golem is still going to work, but the crush for the disengage. I think that they should be able to escape from this one. Oh, lag, get back out of here. That's going to be the jump. Never mind. Already going to be able to kill off 2 more. The DK with the breathe fire, and looking for that Undying, but not going to be able to find him. It's just so hard to fight into this lineup. And this is, I mean, isn't it supposed to be a 5-man lineup from TongFu?
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is Wings actually also have a 5-man lineup. Like Eclipse, Fatal Bonds, having the Chaotic Offering on top of that, the team fight damage and lockdown is just insane coming in from Wings.
Oh,
I mean, they're just going to get a quick pick on the Disruptor again. This is probably the first time I've ever seen a Warlock do so much work in a Dota game, and it's a support Warlock. Like, I've seen mid Warlock in the past. You know, MVP used to run that pretty consistently, and it didn't do as much as this Warlock is doing. Every single fight, Ice is in the right spot, puts the Fatal Bonds on before the team fight starts. You throw out an Eclipse, a Breathe Fire, a Rocket Flare. the damage output on Wings is ridiculously high in 5-on-5 fights.
I mean, this is a team that's known for innovation and, well, looking for maybe going to be able to catch something on Innocence, but it's so hard to punish them. I just feel like this team is so well known for trying to play a lot of different styles, and it's worth noting that at the they've picked over this last month 92 different heroes.
Yeah. How do you predict that? Like, how do you play against a team that plays every hero in the game?
It's absurd. They have picked 92 heroes, and I believe at the ESL1 Manila, it was like 85 heroes got picked at the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Just absurd diversity, and it works too. That's the other thing about it. Like you talk about that Warlock with the Fatal Bonds. In the context of this draft, I don't know if there's a better hero.
I think that they understand Warlock. Like, after watching how they play it, they just understand perfectly what the hero offers. Because most of the time, Warlock is not really considered a top-tier support. But because TongFu's offlane didn't really get anything accomplished, it's okay that he doesn't offer a lot to the laning phase because they're really only picking him for the 5 versus 5. And they're not being pressured anywhere else. Like, the Warlock doesn't have to worry about getting rotated on by anything because a DP is not like a Queen of Pain or someone else who's going to go around the map and try to force the engagements before he's ready. They're just always able to consistently take the fight when Chaotic Offering is off cooldown and ready to go. They have the Clockwork for the initiation, the Luna and the DK for the push. Everything about the lineup is balanced.
It's really impressive stuff. And now just going to go straight for high ground. And I don't know if there's a great answer. There's the jump in onto Keibu. He is going to be able to have at least the Static Storm drop, but drop in low himself. They are going to get the follow-up crush on his Shadow. He's still very tanky. Fateon in the midst of all of them, dropping down that Eclipse as well as the Warlock ulti. And oh, a bit of it ended up getting taken up by those creeps, but the jump forward by Blink with the Blink Dagger, Faith is going to end up being able to get dropped. 5-man wipe, GG at 60. Oh my god, 16-minute GG, it's rough.
That has to have been the most impressive Warlock performance I've ever seen. Like, by far. By far. I do have to give props to Faith Beyond as well. He did have a really good performance on the clock. He had, I think he only missed like one hook, which is fine. But the biggest thing for me in this game was TongFu's offlane did nothing. Like, it just did absolutely nothing. And when you have a dual aggressive lane with an Undying, with a Slardar, 18 creep kills on that Slardar. He had 1 CS a minute, pretty much, by the time that game was over. Wings just came in. They said, you know what? We don't care. We're going to pick Clockwork and Warlock. Support. Support Warlock. 8-0 and 15.
That's absurd. 8-0-15 with... It's just one of the best performances we've seen. And we talked about it also, the Fatal Bonds being able to offer, like, shutting out the region that they had in that lane as well. All in all, a really impressive display. I'm a little surprised that we're already done with the game, 16-minute GG.
I don't know what else to say. They just weren't prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't prepared for how fast that Wings were able to just walk down every single lane. And honestly, a lot of it was on the back of that really awkward engagement that TongFu took between their Tier 1 and Tier 2. Like, as soon as that happened, you just kind of felt a sense of, oh, we actually can't 5-man against this team because Fatal Bonds plus, you know, the Chaotic Offering and the Flare damage, the Luna damage, there's just too much damage. They just got killed before they could kill the enemy team. That's literally just what happened.
Yeah. Well, it's a rough one indeed for TongFu. Still a good chance to get through this in the Wings Gaming, taking another draft. I'm really looking forward to see more of those as this goes on.
Oh, that's a very exciting game to watch for sure.
All right, well, stick around, everybody. We got more action coming up shortly. I think we're getting ready to hop into Europe, but China games are still going to be covered on some of the other streams. And I think that will do it for us. Have a good one, and see you guys next time.